Hello, good evening, and welcome to my live video. Quickly, before I introduce myself, I'd like to set up my Instagram page, and then I will be right back. 1 sec, please. Um, Hopefully, I've shared it here on this page. Let me quickly check. I'm sorry, guys. This network is really dealing with me. I need to share it again just so I know. Okay, hopefully I should be done by now. 1 sec. Thank you. Yes. Hi everyone. Good evening and welcome to my live video. My name is Tina. On this page you're watching from is called Solution Center with Tina. So today I will be talking about a very interesting topic, and then I will be bringing in someone that can elaborate or talk about this topic. And I don't know where you're watching me from, but I greet you according to your time, and then I welcome everyone. That includes the newcomers on this page and the newcomers. And quickly, I want to talk about this topic, which is should we control or guide our children? Some people are really mixing everything up when it comes to controlling or guiding our children. So this is a very this is a very interesting topic, even though I've treated it before here on this page. But I think we need to look into this topic properly, and then we can, because I have guests here today, but you won't be seeing the guest face. He's going to be talking behind the camera, and we will listen and hear and gain and understand how parents should be teaching or taking care of their kids, especially when the child is doing something very, very seriously wrong. How you can handle the children. Most parents have children, or most parents have been praying to have children, but there are consequences which you need to, face or control when you have these children. So you can see I lost my voice, and that's because I lost my voice. Right. I would like to quickly talk about it, and then I'll give my guests chance to speak. As you all know, I would not like to spend more than 15 or 20 minutes here, and I will also want 1 or 2 people to gain from this topic. I will leave my guests to talk now while I look for something to clear my throat. So My guess, you can speak.
Good evening, everyone. Interesting topic. Different cultures have a different way of looking at this particular subject. And being involved previously, even at a high level, in the, let's say, the childcare system, is that do we actually own our children, or do we just guide our children? Which one is it? Everyone suggests that we own them. That I can't remember a single human being ever inventing childbirth. I think that lies with God Almighty, who invented that for us. So does that take us to the next level of, do you own your children? Because owning children and controlling children are fairly close. Now, to suggest that you own your children and control your children, then it creates different things to different cultures. Guiding children, which is good or bad, right or wrong, then I understand. Controlling children, which in fact is a gift from God, then are you permitted to use whatever means possible under that control system? Because that goes to corporal punishment, or even worse at times. So do you look at the controlling, or do you look at the guidance? Get close to your children, tell them the rights from wrong, make sure that they are good rather than bad, keep them away from bad influences, and that's across media, not just which is in the local part of their lives, which is the family and friends and school, where they learn so much. So it's demanding for parents to try and get that balance, of course. However, it still brings us back to, do we control, or do we guide our children? For me, guiding the children is what we should be doing as human beings. It's a gift from God, and we should carry out what possible way we can bring up these children. If you start with controlling by chastising and smacking, now when they go to school, they think it's normal to do exactly the same to their friends. Then you get in a cycle of violence for future. Does it actually do any good? It's something to be debated, and that's why it's a good subject, because it's really how parents can communicate at the end of the day with their children and guide them. We all go to church, we all ask for forgiveness, and then and even if you go to the mosque, it's exactly the same. But do you actually, you come out and forget the things what you did half an hour ago? It's quite often that's the case. So, it's a good debate to start. And over to the speaker at this point.
Okay, so I would like to ask you one or two questions, because according to you, you've raised about 5 children, and you were talking about how most Africa train their children. Even though I have discussed with you in the past to say some of these children overreact, they over misbehave, they misunderstand their parents. They don't even understand the difference between you guiding them and you controlling them. And so when we see this kind of behavior from our children, we do not have any choice than to control them, because we believe in our culture where we are from that we have right to train our children. Depending on how you train your children, it is how your children will present themselves outside. And most children intend to misunderstand your gentility, to, I don't know how they want to define it. They take it for granted. So, when you see children that misbehave, and when I mean misbehave badly, to the point of hurting their parents, what do you say about this?
Very interesting. How did it get to that point in the first place with hurting their parents? There must have been something going wrong. It doesn't happen overnight, it happens over time.
Okay.
So for me, then if you get them early enough and you give birth to these children, of course, is that it's back down to parenting. And is it bad parenting because you don't have time, you neglected them, or is it just the fact that they are going with the wrong crowd? That again, you can see that. You see your children every day. You see what influences they're getting from their friends, from media in particular, and the sort of actions and reactions they are doing. So chastising children is quite easy. Is that, start with 1, 2, 3, and once you get to 3, you take something off them, so they can't have it. If it starts again, then you go to the next level, and the next level will be that you take toys away from them. The next level is that you send them to bed. But you actually gradually have to increase so that they don't want to go to bed. Most children never want to go to bed. So some children have other triggers which may have them take their scooter off them, take their Xbox off them. You can put lots of let's say penal elements in without physical violence. So taking things away, what they like the most, is a good way starting, but not immediately, because you get an overreaction. So as children grow up, and when you get to 14ish, it gets even worse, of course, and I know that because I've raised them past that age. but even just a tone of voice at that age, they understand that just a tone of voice, they back down, because if they don't want to escalate. So it's and that's the way I got to with my children. A tone of voice change, they knew they were doing something wrong, and they had to step down. So did they ever attack me? Absolutely never. So it's just, and they were big boys, and they were playing rough games and playing rugby. And boxing, but they never took it to the next level. So if these children can do it, and children around you are doing it, why is it that some children are not like that? Is it down to bad parenting? And in the social system in my country, that's where it will end up. It's bad parenting. Beating up children because you think they did something wrong, is that the answer? Because they're only going to escalate it to school. Then you're never out of school because your son or daughter is always in trouble fighting, and that's the last thing you want. You need education, not in the fighting mode.
Okay, in a place whereby the kids are, your son or your daughter is always like this, and you have decided to, further his education, even though you understand his kind of character, and yet the son is still misbehaving in the university, where you sent him to go to school, to go and learn and acquire knowledge. What do you do in this case? Because you were talking about bad parents. Even though the mother and the father has really tried for this person to change. What do you do in this case?
I was actually involved in working for the penal system in the UK. And it was interesting. You had your Class A prisoners, you had your Class B, Class C, and then you had the young offenders, which was very interesting. Now, you're never going to get away with some children being at that level. And if you go back, and social workers do this, and so do the courts, by the way, and then it's the background of the child where he was brought up. He was brought up in that level of upbringing with violence, and the children in there are criminals. They're hardened criminals at 14, 13, 12, and they go to a young offenders prison. And these children are, your future Category A prisoners. I know that because I've seen it firsthand and spoke to the prison officers. But it wasn't stopped early enough through parenting, even if you have to train the parents to learn how to bring up their children for right and wrong, put them on the right track. It was never done. They went off, and the parents, unfortunately, just allowed them to carry on until it becomes at a criminal level. So, and this is why these young offenders are in the prison, and for a very long time, a lot of them. You can get 10 years, 12 years, because the crimes are so serious, and it's not a pretty sight. These children are dangerous. They are feral children, I would call them, as a feral cat. They are feral children. Now, where does that come from? They wasn't born like that. They came out all nice and cuddly. They was just brought up incorrectly. So, what moulded them into where they are today? So, you're better off getting your children young enough and to guide them between good and bad and right and wrong, and guide them the way through the educational system, encourage them through the educational system. It doesn't matter if they're not academic, because there are trades they can go into, but they can make something of their lives. It doesn't have to be through crime as an easy option.
All right. Some children are well trained and brought up, but they have decided to take another position, or to take another way, to take their own way, or to choose the way they want. You see a 9-year-old children, they will tell you they are grown up. They are old enough to take care of themselves. 9-year-old. 9 years old. We tell you as a parent to say, I'm old enough to take care of myself. And sometimes I imagine a 9-year-old saying this in public. So when a 9-year-old comes to you or do something wrong, and you're trying to correct a 9-year-old, and he's telling you that I'm old enough to take care of myself. And when things fall apart, they come to you, they fall back to you as a parent to say, some of them will come and some of them will not. Why? Because you have warned them beforehand. In this case, what do you tell a 9-year-old children or child? How do you even explain to them to say, you are not old enough to take care of yourself? I'm still your parent. I'm still your mom, or I'm still your dad, or we are still your parents. These things I really don't understand, because most parents do take care of their children. They do try their possible best to make sure that their children has got the best character, behavior, education, just the best human being they can give their children. Yet, the child will still misbehave and don't understand the love that the mother or the parents have for them. This, I know someone that has been trying her possible best to make sure that her only child is positive. Let me use that word. In real life. And it looks like everything that the mother is doing is just in vain. She has provided education, supportive, advice, and yet the child has decided to take his own turn. What can you say about this?
As children, we all grow up. Now, the age of 9, yes, I had one particular child at the age of 9. And he considered himself grown up at 9. And I suppose when you look at him, he was given the independence, deliberately by the way, by design, to make him that way. Now, but he didn't go off the rails, I have to say, but he thought he was grown up. What is more interesting, in the prison service, I can always remember a psychologist speaking to me in the prison service. He said, at the age of 14, all of us, every single one of us, we have a turning point in our lives. That's around about 13, 14, where you'll be either a criminal or you will be make something of your life and get yourself educated. But at 14, with your hormones flying around your body, you can go one way or the other. And to try and control that person is very, very, very difficult. I know that because I've been through it successfully, and they didn't, because the diversion was away from the environment they were being subjected to. And the biggest one for all of us, and this is a major one, that the schools have our children more than the parents. So as soon as they start school are actually their parents practically.
Yeah, that's correct.
And that's one of the environments you've got to look at when they're outside school and they're playing outside. They're in another environment. But schools are the biggest environment, and what are they seeing there? We do see bullies, they do see things, what are happening. They do go into gangs. Some gangs are good because they want to achieve something and let's go into the library or let's do some maths. The others are stealing, let's see what we can steal. And that happens. Don't get away from it. It was when I was growing up, and all of us were there. You know, we all grew up. You know, we're all, you know, big boys and big girls now with T-shirts to say I'm now an adult. And you have experienced.
At what age? 14 years old.
At 14 years old, this is where, or 13 or 14 is where a child can change. They can go down the criminal route very quickly, or into the what we would call the normal route.
So are you saying this is a growth from children? It is expected, okay? Are you saying it?
It's adolescence. So you come out of childhood into adolescence before you get into full blown adulthood, and it's that tricky part of everybody's lives, and that's this age, that in the adolescent stage, it is a big problem. You've got
adolescent,
and you have to get full control, and control means that you must guide them, keep them away from bad influences, keep them in the right direction, put them into sport, like I did with my children actually. I put them into sport. If you want to be like this, go and play rugby. Go and do boxing. Get rid of your energy. Go and do judo. Go and do swimming. Get rid of your energy. Because otherwise the energy goes in other directions, into fighting or into criminal activities, because they get kicks out of it. They're looking for kicks. And, you know, stealing things and getting away with it, you know, there's a big excitement. And there's nothing you can say, but there is a big excitement. People get away with it. Wow. You know, then they find a way that this is this is better than working. I can get money without working.
Hmm.
You know, I can have a good lifestyle because you're stealing money off, you know, of maybe, you know, your friends at school. And I've had that experience because one of my classmates, I have to say, even in junior school, right through to the end of high school, he was absolutely well known for stealing. And the head teacher used to come into the classroom and made him strip down to his underwear to try and find the money stolen. And yes, they used to find it. He used to steal money and they used to find it. But when you look back at this boy's environment, it was appalling. He's been in foster homes, he'd been adopted, he'd been through violent parents, and he was moved around the system. And you're asking me why this guy's like this? Well, he's like this because, you know, the system he was brought up in, the environment he was brought up in.
Very important.
If you're brought up in a caring, loving family, then again, that is so valuable. It's incredible. Chances of slipping into this behaviour, what puts them into crime or whatever they may get into, is the problem. So having a caring environment, the parents are there, they're guiding them, they are looking after them, they are making sure that they're making their own work on time, they're submitting on time, they're doing everything possible, and then they've got extracurricular activities, so to keep them away out of trouble. Send them into swimming clubs.
So you're saying that for you to keep them away from this activity, engage, and you need to engage them in doing other activities.
You've got to.
That is the only solution.
It's
the way out.
One of the solutions. The other solution is to get close to your children. Have a really good communication system with them. You know, what's wrong with cuddling your children at 14, 15, 16? Cuddle them, bring them along, encourage them. You know, you brought these children up. You know, this is part of your life. You know, these are a gift from God. So you as a parent, you have a duty and care to make sure that these children can go into society and serve society. And that is going to work, paying tax, whatever it may be, or serving people, or looking after people. So they're part of the society, you know. And certainly Africans, I'm quite aware of this, of course. And it's not just Africans, because even in the United Kingdom, we look at our own reputation. If your child falls into this category of we call them juvenile delinquents, but we don't want one of those. We want someone who can achieve. It doesn't matter if it's a high level or low level achievement, but it's an achievement. They've reached their optimum, and you've encouraged them. Now that gives them a springboard into adulthood and to future life. They're going to have children, hopefully, should God willing let them have children.
So, at what age do you think the kids, these children, can change from who they are or what they do or who they have, you know, chosen to be, to responsible children?
It's a continual process. Particularly if let's say we start at 9 years old. Let's start at 9 years old, because that is the trigger point for most children, because they're starting to, you know, they've got a pair of shoes what fit them now, and they're big boys and big girls, and they think they know the world. But really, from that level, a close relationship with your children up to through this adolescent phase, so that they get through the hormonal changes, because their bodies are changing, their brains are changing. You know, they don't want and I will use the word control from their parents anymore. I want to do this, but you can encourage that to the right level of what you should be doing, rather than I want to be in nightclubs at 14. What's this all about?
Is it possible?
When children dress up, particularly girls, of course, boys are always, I have to say, backward. But girls are very forward. They develop quicker, they look older, they can put makeup on. And lo and behold, people think you're 16 or 17. And they can get through doors.
That's right.
Boys can't get through these doors. And why do you think girls are looking for boys at 21 years old at the age of 15, 14? And they are doing. So you can see, particularly with girls, you've got to have an extra pair of eyes in the back of your head, so you know what is happening. Boys, to me, of course, I believe, are simpler because I've had boys, apart from, God bestowed on me one girl. But the boys, very, very simple. You can put them into something and you can take it up and get experts at it. I've got one boy, they're all very highly intelligent, they've all got their degrees, but we put him into fishing. He's an absolute brilliant called fisher anglers, or a fisherman with a rod. He's absolutely magnificent. You cannot believe what the fish he catches and how he catches them. I can't catch a fish, but my youngest son can, or my third youngest son. So they're brilliant. If you take my first youngest son, he's very athletic from all the sports, from rugby in particular, and swimming and triathlons. So you guide them in such a way that something what they take an interest in, and then promote them through that, take them away from the influence of the environment they've been brought up in, whether it's at home or whether it's at school, or whether it's through the media. Take them away from that environment and put them into something. My middle son, from my first marriage, we put him into music. He's brilliant. He plays the piano, he plays the acoustic guitar, and he plays the clarinet. And he is a bright boy, but he's just got that artistic art. He's very musical. So you guide them into what is good for them. It doesn't always have to be sport, but sport gets rid of the tensions and gets rid of pressure of children.
That's right.
What are growing up. Some take it from music because it relaxes them. Children are all different. You can't say there's one model for one child. There isn't a model. What child is he good at, or what can you put him into, so he gets a much better disciplined upbringing. And it is a lot of this is discipline, and not control. You discipline the children in such a way that they can have a very fruitful adolescence.
Carry on.
So going back to the females, of course, it's more difficult because the percentage of females going into some of these things, music is pretty good because they like dancing, but there are lots of, they can play music as well. But the good thing is that the girls nowadays are taking up football, taking up rugby, they're doing judo, and that's great for them because that helps them through life, because they're going to compete with males when they get into the workplace, and they won't be bullied, and that's the beauty about, for me, females being, let's say, more dominant in this today's world. In the past, it was not dominant. To me, they are equal, maybe above equal in many terms. So the females are to be certainly cared for and put under a microscope a little bit more, because they can get away with things because they look older at a younger age and
That's correct.
act older.
I've seen a guy that, although he claimed he never knew that the child is only, is it 15 or 14, between this age, and he went further to ask the little girl out, and unfortunately he was catch up. He was claiming that he never knew that the little girl is a young girl, you know what I mean? So, as you said, that the girls are they look more older as they grow up, and you're right, you're very correct, that is very unarguable, you can argue that. But what we are saying is, as a parent, you must learn to to guide your children and not to control your children. But some children deserve to be controlled. I understand that. They said he who wears the shoes knows where he's pinching. Some children are a no-go area. No matter how you try to take care of, talk to them, speak to them, they want to do that evil in them. And by all means, all you need to do is to just watch them fall into the pit. Because if a child is behaving or showing you that he or she knows it, all you need to do as a mother is to fold your hands and watch. Because definitely that child will definitely need your help someday. Maybe you're there to assist because you as a parent have really tried your best. And we understand that in the Western world, like Germany and other places, like UK and other places, we have social service and all of that. These people do get involved when it gets to this point that your child is misbehaving and never want to listen to you. And one thing I know is when they come around, they may take your child from you or your children. And these children they take may not be, the same anymore. Some of them are like that. Some of them ask themselves question, what am I doing here? Where's my mom? They retrace their step and think of going back home. But what I'm saying is, if you have tried your possible best as a mother to guide your child and he's not ready to listen to you, what do?
There is lots in the system, in the Western world, obviously in the African world and African culture. I know they tend to go in a different direction. But the mechanisms within the Western world, probably because of and we are cynical of this, by the way, as parents in the UK. Don't think we take it for granted and we think it's a good thing. It's not always a good thing. But as soon as your child goes into school, your child is under the microscope. I'm talking about Europe and UK, etc. And the reason why I say that, because they even look at the point of how was the child presented at school today? Are the clothes clean? Are the shoes polished? Did you comb the hair? These sort of things get reported back to social services through the school. School is the first line where these things are brought up. Now, you will get a visit from the social services in the UK in particular, and that as the speaker said, and Germany is not a lot of difference in particular, because
that's the same rules,
yeah, and I know Germany pretty well. And the UK, so you have lines of defence which are picked up by different systems your child goes through. And the school is the first one, the social service is the second one. Then you get a knock on the door. They want to know, why is it like this? And you will be interviewed. and clearly, you know, there may be a breakdown in the family which is causing some of the distress, and the children are going off the rails, and there is lots of reasons why children, you know, react, apart from their hormones, of course, because they react to the environment around them, and that's what I was saying earlier. You've got to bring your children up in a good environment.
That's correct.
So, you know, that environment must be stable.
So what if the parent doesn't have that money to bring the child up in a good environment?
Well,
There are a lot of us that came from the trash. Is it trash they call them? Trash. And we behave ourselves. We some of us are doing very well, in particular.
Yeah, well,
Some of us, before we take action, we look back. We remember where we are coming from. And so that's why if you see some of these children misbehaving, you keep wondering that we didn't even have all of these goodies growing up. We never came from a very rich home. Some of us came from a very dirty drainage, trash, and all of that. If you have opportunity to come from a very good home and has gotten a good parents, some of which I understand that if the parents are not living together, children can misbehave.
yeah, well, I disagree with what you said there. I myself came out of the basement. I had the choice of being a criminal or getting educated. I actually chose education. Now, that was on a number of levels, and the reason I did that, of course, because it's all personal. But to say that you can put it, when you talk about environment, I was brought up in a poor environment. Did we do anything wrong? No, we didn't. And, you know, and probably, to be quite honest, some of the best people come out of the basement and the drain.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
But, you know, that doesn't mean to say that because you were there, is that, you know, your environment was bad. The environment I'm talking about is the environment, the social environment people have to live through, like school, because school is the biggest influencer in anybody's lives. That's the first thing. When I was at school, you know, we call them council houses. Yes, I was brought up in a council house. My friend was brought up in a very upmarket house, and they owned the house. Now, we went to school together, in the same class together, we hung around together, and then he started to be strange one day. No one took a lot of notice, because I suppose we were all a little bit strange at about the age of 14. We knew that ourselves. But what he had done, he changed his environment completely. How he got into it, I don't know. But this particular boy, after leaving school, was into, let's say, being peddling drugs, is what we would call it in those days. And then he supplied drugs to someone, and that person died. Then he went to prison for manslaughter. Now, who would ever thought that one of your school friends would actually get into drugs, and he comes from such a good family and such a very smart part of town, ends up going into drugs? He wasn't short of money. He had plenty of money. Every time he was at school, you know, we were taking a few pence out of our pocket. He was taking pounds out of his pocket. So, you know, did this guy get spoilt? He had a good environment he was brought up in, but what changed him to do what he was doing? You know, as I say, the environment you are subjected to influences your life. And as parents, we have to be careful what our children are getting into.
Correct.
And what media they're seeing nowadays. Media is phenomenal nowadays. And as I say, you know, 4 pair of eyes is not enough. You know, you've got to have eyes on the 360 degrees around your head and look at everything they do, because they slip into things so fast, and their friends at school are telling them, have you been here? I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing something else. And they don't tell you when they come home. They just go ahead and do it. Good, because they've got access, because they're all on the same computers at school. They've all got the same level of brightness between them. So they're swapping ideas, and we don't know as parents, be quite honest. So it's becoming more difficult with media, let alone the people they mix with at school. So, you know, you've got to have close parenting and, you know, and be aware. But that doesn't mean to say that you stop your child. You've got to just vet it and vet what are the children doing, and make sure that what is good they shouldn't be doing, what is bad they shouldn't be doing, what is bad what they shouldn't be doing, and stick them on the good. So, you know, and what is right and what is wrong, and just keep them on this path as much as possible. And all of us, and I don't think anybody can not put their hand up on this, but we've all done something we shouldn't have done. Or as someone said, for he who has not sinned, cast the first stone. And so we have all done something we shouldn't have done, what our parents told us we should not do. We've all experienced that. And we got away with it, some of us. Some of us didn't get away with it, we got caught. So, you know, as parents we understand, we've been through it ourselves, we've been through adolescence, and we've been at that point where there's experience in the parents, and it's that experience in the parents got to be passed on to the children. The environment our children live in is different to the environment you were brought up in. It's faster, first of all. You know, the world is shrunk.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your comments, your speech, everything you said here as an adult and someone that's, you know, has passed through this phase. I do understand everything that you have said, and you know, some of which some people will definitely come back to watch this video, and then they will understand and maybe retrace their step when it comes to taking care of children. And I you know, I'm so happy because I have someone like you that always come to contribute, you know, physically to talk about each, you know, individual topic. On this note, if you know that you are one of these parents that don't care about your children, you don't know what they do, you don't know where they are, you don't even know how to look for them, I advise you to watch this video, because this video will educate you and tell you how you steps that you need to take care of your children. In particular, on this note, is there any other thing you want to say?
Yes, I'd like to close one thing as something I learned, and I've already said it, but I'd like to repeat it. When I was working in the young offenders prison, now, unfortunately, there is going to always be a percentage of children, no matter where they came from, what environment they were brought up in, what level of society they were brought up in, will end up in the young offenders prison. Now, thankfully, I have to say, there is not many young offenders prisons around, the UK in particular. But the intention is, make sure that your child doesn't get into one. Just make sure that you look, guide them, tell them the right from wrong, what is good or bad, get them involved in something what keeps their mind particularly occupied all the time, and for something they can achieve in what they want to achieve. Whether you want them to go down that route, send them down this route, what they want to achieve. But clearly always be mindful what your child and its environment is in is influencing the most. Make sure you know that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you, and I hope to, you know, see you all the time on my video. This way we'll be able to, teach people from your idea and a little bit from where I am to the audience. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
so thank you everyone. As you have heard from an experienced person, we would like to practice, we put things in practice and put things in place. We are not all perfect. We are only trying to be, perfect. And then we cannot be 100%, no matter how good or try we do. The only thing is we need to continue to keep our eyes on our children and make sure that, we know what they do at every individual time. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you if you're going to watch this video. I want you to pick one or two things. If you have questions, please, you can DM or message me, or better still, chat me up on my WhatsApp message, on my WhatsApp messenger, and then we can have a good chat. Thank you for joining me tonight. I do appreciate it. My name remains Tina, and stay blessed. Bye for now. Bye.